Okay, so next segment, and hopefully the final segment, is that we're going to make sure that initial list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with whatever our list is capable of accommodating is getting populated and not showing those silly numbers, which are really so the labels initially should be populated. So let's find out what would be the best way for us to to populate the list initially, so that instead of seeing this, we're going to see something real. Okay, so let's see. What are the possibilities, right? The possibilities are that we can use our first of all, let's just make sure that we take a look at the main class, right? So the main class says main app view main, right, and calls the main method generated by NetBeans framework to add the main method to our application, right? So go to view main. Yes, question.
Do you want the confirm button to disappear, or you want to just do nothing when it's done?
It's either way. I wouldn't make the confirm button disappear when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather disable it.
Okay.
There's an enable disable type of thing,
Yeah.
so you can do something like that. But
yeah, I have it right now disabled because I had a problem.
Yeah.
When I make it disappear, it doesn't come back.
right, so there's always a bit of a danger of that over engineering, so yes, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. All right, so now so back to the point that we need to find this main method inside the view, which is really what happens at the beginning of our execution. So what happens is that we create the main view right there, right? We create the history view, then we create the controller, and the constructor for the controller takes a reference to both of these views, right? So we have a chance then, by looking at this, I think that maybe I can ask controller constructor, when the controller's constructor executes, right, maybe it should go and update both windows, so that we have a chance to execute the initial update for both windows. So let's go then to the controller, right, and go to its constructor. So we can scroll up, and here's the controller constructor. So the controller gets references to two of these windows, which is kind of nice. Then it tells both of these windows, I am your controller, okay? So me right here is your controller. Then it creates the data. The data, of course, populates the data. And then we say view main set visible true. But guess what I would like to do before I say it, make it visible? Simply copy and paste this line of code, right? And just say view main, update yourself, and use NYR data, the unconfirmed list. That's all, right? So NYR data already has method to return the list of unconfirmed resolutions, and all I need to do is just make sure that before I make main visible, just say update, right? So this is the most logical place for me to do this. It's like one line change. I trace back to what happens at the very beginning. I found that the controller constructor has this kind of very powerful role in finalizing the startup code for my application, and I was able to see that past the creation of the data object, my business object that contains this list, I can just do my updates, and without further ado, let's just run this and see what happens. So there you go, right? So we have 5 of these, right? By the way, something else I would like to test All right, so this is good. I mean, this is satisfying. That was good. Of course, we can do some confirmations. A few confirmations in a row, just like that, and then oops also works, and more confirmations and more of these. So this seems reasonable, right? So let's get out of here, and I would like to put this through some more stress. And to do this, I'll just go to my New Year resolution data object, find place where I get this populated, and let me at least make sure that that the code works the same way, even if I add more resolutions than the main view can handle, right? Because most likely this information will not be hard-coded like this, but rather is likely to come from a file or from a database, and I would like to populate the views with the information which was dynamically created and populated. Yes, question? Yes, in our project it's absolutely not a requirement. The way it works right now is pretty much completely satisfying. What I'm looking for is that under no circumstances your code should basically fail by producing an exception. That would be something undesirable. At this stage, I think that we need to strive for the quality of the code under which absolutely under no conditions our code fails or throws an exception and does something strange. Everything has to be under control, every possible situation, and I think that's the challenge, to make sure that your user interface is kind of bulletproof enough to withstand abuse or incorrect data or some other unforeseen circumstances. And right now, I think we have two ends where bad information could be occurring in the code, like bad inputs from the database. If we had a database or a file storing information, so that could return some garbage information, or obviously the user could do crazy things with inputs and just like basically try abusing the user interface by clicking randomly on anything they can click on and do everything else they can to make application misbehave, right? So, but very quick, very quick set of additional stress tests. Let's just say, just add a few more resolutions. Read a book, and also stop playing video games. Okay, I think this is a good resolution for many of us, right? Stop playing video games and instead read the book. Okay, so now I have like 6 resolutions, but as far as I can recall, I only have 5 labels. So let's see how this behaves, right? So number 1, it just gets populated with 5 of them, so that last one, right? The last one, the stop playing video games, isn't visible because simply there isn't enough space in here. But remember, my loop in this main view update method was absolutely focused on the size of the array of labels. So I'm driven by the number of labels and not by anything else. Everything else is secondary, everything else is data. But if I say confirm, this list to begin shrinks, and stop playing video games now does show up. And if I keep confirming, and if I do this 6 times in a row, despite the fact that I only have 5 labels, which simply have this purpose of just showing things, all 6 of them seemingly go to the history window, and it's something that I kind of expected to see, right? And if I keep confirming, the history window gets updated, says, oh, there's nothing else to do, and the oops button populates these back like that. But if I do this one more time, Okay, so this time it's just like the one is added at the bottom, and if it's nothing that I can display, right? So, but at least the code behaves in such way that it can withstand the situation where array lists are different size than the number of labels that I have, and vice versa. When I have less labels, more data, or more data, less labels, it all behaves consistently and doesn't really present a significant problem, right? The way this is written right now perhaps is not optimal, because perhaps maybe I can use a different set of controls, like some kind of a table with the scroll bar, so that maybe I can display everything, or maybe I could give user a clue that there is more, right? So at least this is not very appropriate when you just start the application, show 5 of these labels, and just make user believe that this is all that they can see, right? Those are small, tiny details that you can work out as you try to tweak your user interface, tweak the development, the rest of your application. But it's just something to keep in mind, because the user interface design is an art. It has to be simple, but kind of obvious and helpful to the user on one side, and so once again it has to be simple enough so that at least we don't have to spend the rest of our lives maintaining it, right? Because maintaining, I've dealt with forms in my life where people spend like days and days and days simply by making the form like this do something. Okay, there was so much code written in that class that you have to essentially spend time and more time before you can make a change which doesn't break the already existing behavior, and then does something that you're looking for, like makes an additional feature visible or something like that. Anyway, I mean, it's just a note that it's most definitely the user interface area needs tweaking, needs adjustments. It can be improved indefinitely, but you need to watch out for keeping it as simple as possible, because this is for your own sanity and benefit of your time spent on that. So I would say, unless someone asks you to do something more sophisticated, keep it as simple as possible, and don't volunteer some really fancy features in the user interface, because eventually they will bite you back, because the more complicated code you write, the more responsibilities on your side to just transparently keep modifying that code and keep it up to date with the rest of the application, right? So the choice of simple controls is better. The choice of sometimes you see we could actually do the entire work in a single window here. But just a thought that maybe one of the possibilities for us is to sometimes you can create instead of one window, you can split it into multiple windows or dialog boxes, and keep that helping perhaps to simplify overall interface by simply keeping less controls on your forms. All right. So that covers our conversation about this specific assignment. I think it's an interesting assignment, so we will look forward to other assignments with graphical user interface in the future, and maybe we'll find time to show an alternative to these labels. Maybe we will use a table control one day, but not today. Today I would like to go back to coverage of our main topic, which is going back to talking about swing controls, and today maybe we will have a chance to talk about two things I'd like to cover, because they come with a certain territory, is the radio buttons and menus for our user interface.